I am Rodolfo, 72 years old, and never thought my own flesh and blood would try to strip me of everything I worked for. That day at the bank still haunts me. My daughter Sophia, smiling sweetly while sliding papers toward me. Her husband Gregory standing behind me with a grip that left bruises. The small note I passed to the teller was my last hope. What happened next changed everything I thought I knew about family, trust, and standing up for yourself. Before I tell you about the moment those bank doors locked shut, let me know where you are watching from, and hit subscribe if you have ever had to fight against the people who should love you the most. For 47 years, I woke up at 4:30 each morning, packed the same lunch in the same metal container, and drove my old Ford pickup to the manufacturing plant where I assembled truck engines. Not glamorous work, but honest labor that put food on our table and eventually paid off our modest 3-bedroom home in a quiet suburb outside of Portland. I saved every penny I could, investing carefully in my company stock and building what I considered a comfortable nest egg for retirement. Not wealthy by any means, but secure. That security meant everything to me after growing up with nothing. Sophia was my only child. From the moment the nurse placed her in my arms, all red-faced and squalling, I knew I would move mountains for this little girl. Her mother, my Mariana, would laugh and say Sophia had me wrapped around her tiny finger from day one. She was right. I remember teaching Sophia to ride her bike down our street, her pigtails flying in the breeze as she finally found her balance and pedaled ahead without my steadying hand. I remember driving her to her first school dance, giving her first boyfriend the obligatory stern talk, and crying like a baby when she graduated college, the first in our family to earn a degree. She studied business administration, always the practical one, just like her dad, Mariana would say. But life has a way of changing even the strongest bonds. 3 years ago, Mariana lost her battle with breast cancer. 46 years of marriage ended in a hospital room that smelled of antiseptic and despair. I held her hand until her last breath, promising to keep going, to take care of myself and Sophia. Mariana made me promise something else too, something that seemed odd at the time. She made me promise to be careful with our money and our will. I nodded, thinking it was just the medication talking. After Mariana passed, our house felt too big, too quiet. But it was paid off, and it was home. I established a routine. Coffee at 6, breakfast at 7, a walk around the neighborhood at 8, small talk with the mail carrier at 11, dinner at 5, usually something simple I could microwave, television until 9, then bed. Weekends were for maintaining the house and yard. Not exciting, but it kept me going. Sophia visited less after her mother died. She said it was too painful, seeing the house without Mariana in it. I understood, or tried to. She had her own life now, married to Gregory, a financial advisor with slicked back hair and a smile that never quite reached his eyes. I never trusted the man, if I am being honest. There was something calculating about the way he looked at people, like he was always running numbers in his head, determining their value. When they did visit, it was usually because they needed something. A loan for a down payment on a new car, money to invest in a business opportunity that Gregory swore was a sure thing. I helped when I could, though sometimes I wondered if Mariana would approve. In the last few months, Sophia started suggesting I might be better off in an assisted living facility. For my own good, she said, so I would have people to talk to, so I would not be alone if I fell or got sick. I always changed the subject. The truth was, my house was the last place I had memories of Mariana. The garden she planted still bloomed every spring. Her cookbook still lined the kitchen shelves. Her clothes still hung in our closet. I was not ready to leave. What Sophia did not know, or perhaps what she knew all too well, was the extent of my assets. Besides the house, worth about $300,000 in the current market, I had nearly $200,000 in savings and company stock worth close to $400,000. My pension provided enough monthly income to cover my modest needs. I was not rich by modern standards, but to a man who grew up wearing second-hand shoes and eating beans 3 nights a week, I felt wealthy beyond measure. It was a Tuesday morning when everything changed. I was having my coffee, reading the newspaper the old-fashioned way, with actual paper that crinkled between my fingers, when a car horn beeped in my driveway. Looking out the window, I saw Sophia waving from the passenger seat of Gregory's shiny black BMW. They came to the door together, all smiles and unusual cheer. Gregory clapped me on the shoulder. Sophia hugged me tight, the scent of her expensive perfume almost overwhelming. "We thought we would take you to lunch, Dad," Sophia said, her voice bright, "and then maybe stop by the bank after to take care of a few small things." "What things?" I asked. "Just some paperwork," Gregory said quickly. "Nothing to worry about. Just making sure everything is in order." I hesitated, but Sophia was already grabbing my jacket from the hook by the door. "It will be fun," she insisted. "We never get to spend time together anymore." Against my better judgment, I agreed. After all, this was my daughter. What could possibly go wrong? The drive to the restaurant was my first indication that something was off. Gregory insisted I sit in the back with Sophia while he drove. Every few minutes, I caught him glancing in the rearview mirror, making eye contact with my daughter, some unspoken communication passing between them. Sophia chatted incessantly about neighbors I barely knew, local news I had no interest in, and memories from her childhood that seemed suddenly important to her. She held my hand on the seat between us, squeezing it occasionally, with what felt like forced affection. "So, Dad," she said during a brief lull, "do you still use the same bank downtown? The one on Oak Street?" "Yes. I have been with them for over 30 years now," I replied. "And all your accounts are still there? Your checking, savings, everything?" The question struck me as odd. Of course they were. Where else would they be? "Yes," I said slowly. "Why do you ask?" "Oh, no reason," she said quickly. "I just wanted to make sure we are going to the right place after lunch." Gregory cleared his throat from the driver's seat. "And your house paperwork, Dad? The deed? And all that? Where do you keep those important documents?" "In my home office, in the filing cabinet," I answered, a strange uneasiness beginning to settle in my stomach. Why would he need to know that? "Just curious," he replied smoothly. "It is always good to know where important papers are kept, you know, in case of emergencies." The restaurant they chose was far more upscale than anywhere I would normally go. Crystal glasses caught the light from elaborate chandeliers. Waiters in pressed white shirts moved silently between tables. The menu had no prices listed, which immediately put me on edge. "Let us order you a drink, Dad," Gregory suggested, already signaling to the waiter. "A scotch." "Neat?" "I do not drink during the day," I said. "Just water for me." Gregory ordered the scotch anyway. "Come on, it is a special occasion," he insisted. "What occasion?" I asked. Sophia jumped in. "Just a nice family lunch. That is special enough, right?" Throughout the meal, they encouraged me to drink, refilling my water glass with scotch when I stepped away to use the restroom. I pretended to sip it but poured most of it into a potted plant when they were not looking. Something told me I needed to keep my wits about me. Over dessert, which I did not order but Gregory insisted upon, he casually mentioned the bank again. "The paperwork should be quick," he said between bites of tiramisu. "Just a few signatures to make things more convenient for everyone." "What paperwork exactly?" I pressed. Sophia patted my hand. "Just some forms to make it easier for us to help manage your finances if you need assistance. Nothing to worry about." "I do not need assistance with my finances," I said firmly. "I have been managing my money just fine for decades." "Of course you have, Dad," she soothed. "This is just precautionary, for the future." As they spoke, a memory surfaced. Mariana in her hospital bed, her voice weak but her eyes intense. "Promise me, Rodolfo," she had whispered. "Be careful with our money. Do not sign anything without reading it carefully first." I had thought it strange at the time. Now, I wondered if she had seen something in our daughter that I had been blind to. My phone buzzed in my pocket, A text message from Ted, the bank manager I had known for years. He was a fishing buddy, someone I trusted. The message read, "Sorry, taking a last-minute personal day today. See you at poker night Friday." The timing seemed odd. Ted never took sudden days off. He was reliable to a fault. As we finished lunch and headed back to the car, I made an excuse to use the restroom again. Once inside, I called Frank, an old friend who happened to be a retired attorney. His phone went to voicemail. I left a hurried message, asking him to call me back as soon as possible. In the parking lot of the bank, I tried Frank again. No answer. As I was putting my phone away, Gregory appeared at my elbow. "Everything okay?" he asked, his tone casual, but his eyes sharp. "Fine, just checking the time," I lied. "Well, come on then," he said, taking my elbow with surprising firmness. "Let us not waste the afternoon." As we walked toward the bank entrance, the grip on my elbow tightened. "We need to be done by 3, he said quietly. "We have another appointment." "What appointment?" I had not been told about any other plans. "Just some paperwork at the lawyer's office," he said dismissively. "Nothing for you to worry about." The sense of unease that had been building all day solidified into something closer to dread. Something was very wrong, and I was walking right into it. The bank lobby was busy for a Tuesday afternoon. Customers lined up at the teller windows, filling out deposit slips, checking their phones as they waited. Security cameras hung in each corner, their tiny red lights blinking steadily. The air conditioning hummed, keeping the space cool despite the summer heat outside. I looked around for Ted, hoping against hope that his text had been some kind of mistake, that my friend would be here to greet me with his usual hearty handshake. Instead, a young woman approached us, her name tag identifying her as Amanda. She looked to be in her early 30s, with dark hair pulled back in a professional bun and alert brown eyes. "Good afternoon," she greeted us with a polite smile. "How can I help you today?" Before I could speak, Sophia stepped forward. "Hi, we have some important financial documents to review with my father. We would need a private room, please." Amanda nodded, her eyes flicking briefly to me. "May I ask what type of documents you will be reviewing today?" Gregory moved closer to me, placing a hand on my shoulder. "Just some family financial planning," he said smoothly. "Power of attorney paperwork, some account management forms. Nothing complicated." "I see," Amanda said, her professional smile remaining in place, though I thought I detected a slight narrowing of her eyes. "And you are?" Gregory extended his hand. "Gregory Palmer. This is my wife, Sophia, and her father, Rodolfo Martinez." "Do you have an appointment today?" Amanda asked. "We were hoping to see Ted Williams," I interjected, speaking up for the first time since entering the bank. "He is a personal friend." "I am afraid Mr. Williams is out today," Amanda replied, "but I would be happy to assist you. If you will follow me, we have a consultation room available." She led us down a short hallway to a small room with a round table and 4 chairs. The walls were a neutral beige, decorated with generic landscape paintings. A small camera was mounted in the corner near the ceiling, its presence both reassuring and concerning. Would it record sound or just video? "Please have a seat," Amanda said, gesturing to the chairs. "Can I get anyone water or coffee while we get started?" Both Gregory and Sophia declined, eager to move things along. I asked for water, partly because my mouth had gone dry with anxiety, and partly to buy myself a few more minutes to think. Once Amanda left to get my water, Gregory immediately pulled a folder from his briefcase and began spreading documents across the table. "Now, Dad," he said, his voice taking on a patronizing tone that made my skin crawl. "These are just standard forms to make sure everything is protected. Your house, your savings, all of it." "Protected from what?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "From taxes, from probate court, from government bureaucracy," Sophia jumped in. "We just want to make sure everything you worked for stays in the family." I leaned forward to look at the papers. The legal jargon swam before my eyes, Terms like durable power of attorney, revocation of prior powers, transfer of deed, and joint account access repeated throughout the documents. Even with my limited legal knowledge, I understood what these papers would do. They would give Sophia and Gregory complete control over everything I owned. When Amanda returned with my water, Gregory quickly gathered the papers into a neat stack, as if he did not want her to see them too closely. "Here you are, sir," Amanda said, placing the water in front of me. "Now, what can I help you with today?" Once again, Gregory took charge. "We need to make some changes to Mr. Martinez's accounts," he explained, adding my wife as a joint account holder for convenience purposes. "We also have some power of attorney documents that will need to be notarized." Amanda nodded professionally. "I understand. And Mr. Martinez, you are comfortable with these changes?" All eyes turned to me. Sophia reached over and squeezed my hand, her nails digging slightly into my palm. Gregory stood behind my chair, his hands on my shoulders, in what would appear to anyone watching as a supportive gesture. But I could feel the pressure, the subtle warning in his grip. "I would like to understand exactly what I am signing," I said carefully. Sophia made a small noise of impatience. "Dad, we went over all this at home, remember? These are just formalities." But we had not gone over anything. This was the first I was seeing these documents. "It is just to protect you, Dad," Gregory added, his fingers tightening on my shoulder until it hurt. "So we can help with bills and medical decisions if you need us to. Nothing changes day to day." Amanda seemed to sense my hesitation. "Let me step out and grab our standard information packets about these procedures," she said. "That might help clarify things." She gave me a significant look before leaving the room again. As soon as the door closed, Sophia's demeanor changed. "Dad, just sign the papers. Please do not make this difficult." "Make what difficult?" I asked. "You have not explained why we are really here." Gregory leaned down, his mouth close to my ear. "Your daughter is trying to help you. Do not embarrass her by acting senile." The accusation stung. I was not senile. My mind was as sharp as it had ever been. "These papers would give you control of everything I own," I said, finally confronting them directly. Sophia rolled her eyes. "So what? You are my father. Everything will be mine eventually anyway." The casual cruelty of her statement took my breath away. This was not my little girl. This was a stranger, wearing my daughter's face. Gregory pushed the papers toward me again. "Sign them, and we can all go home. Drag this out, and it just gets more complicated." Looking down at the documents, I realized with a chill that they would not just give Sophia and Gregory access to my accounts. They would transfer my house into their names, immediately. They would grant them power to make all financial and medical decisions for me. They would, effectively, erase my autonomy entirely. "And what happens after I sign?" I asked, stalling for time. "Where will I live?" A look passed between them, quick but unmistakable. "Nothing changes," Gregory said smoothly. "You stay in your house. We just handle the paperwork." But I did not believe him. Not for a second. Amanda returned with a folder of her own. "Here are those information packets," she said brightly. "Mr. Martinez, these explain the implications of joint accounts, powers of attorney, and property transfers. I would be happy to go through them with you." "That will not be necessary," Gregory cut in. "We have already explained everything." "Actually, I would like to review them," I said, reaching for the folder. "We do not have time for this," Sophia snapped, her pleasant facade cracking further. "Dad, please, just sign the papers." The tension in the room was palpable. I could feel sweat beading on my forehead as I realized just how desperate my situation had become. My own daughter and her husband were trying to strip me of everything, right here in this bank, and I had no idea how to stop them. My mind raced as I desperately searched for a way out of this nightmare. The weight of Gregory's hands on my shoulders felt like anvils, pinning me to my chair. Sophia's eyes, so like her mother's in shape but lacking all the warmth, bored into me with growing impatience. I needed help. But who could I turn to? The security camera in the corner caught my attention again, a silent witness to what was happening. Would anyone review the footage? Would they see the coercion happening right before their lens? Probably not, unless someone had reason to look. Amanda returned to the room, her professional smile still in place, though I detected a certain wariness in her movements now. "Have you had a chance to review the materials, Mr. Martinez?" she asked. Before I could answer, Sophia cut in. "We really need to move this along. Dad has agreed to everything already." She turned to me, her voice sweet but her eyes hard. "Right, Dad? You are ready to sign now?" I looked at the stack of papers, then at the pen Gregory was now pressing into my hand. My daughter, my only child, was trying to take everything from me. The house where I had raised her, the savings that represented decades of careful frugality, my very independence. "Just sign on each marked line," Gregory instructed, flipping through the pages and pointing, "Here, and here, and here." My hand trembled as I held the pen. Mariana's final warning echoed in my mind. "Be careful with our money, Rodolfo. Do not sign anything without reading it carefully first." "I need to use the restroom," I said suddenly. "Dad, you just went at the restaurant," Sophia said with exasperation. "This will only take a few minutes. Then we can leave." "I need to go now," I insisted, allowing a quaver into my voice to sound more feeble than I felt. Gregory and Sophia exchanged glances. "Fine," Gregory said after a moment. "But let us finish this first." I deliberately let the pen slip from my fingers, watching as it rolled across the table and fell to the floor. "Oh, I am sorry," I mumbled, bending down to retrieve it. As I did, I quickly tore a corner from one of Amanda's information packets that had fallen on the floor near my feet. With the small scrap of paper hidden in my palm, I fumbled in my pocket for a moment, pretending to search for something. "My pills," I said. "I need my pills, and some water." This seemed to alarm them, as the last thing they wanted was for me to have a medical emergency in the middle of their scheme. "Amanda, could you please get Mr. Martinez some fresh water?" Sophia asked, her tone urgent but trying to maintain the facade of a concerned daughter. "Of course," Amanda replied, taking my empty glass. As she reached for the glass, I passed her the small piece of paper, pressing it into her palm, while making sure my body blocked the view from both Sophia and Gregory. On it, I had hastily scrawled, "I am being forced. Please help." Amanda's eyes widened, almost imperceptibly, but her professional composure never faltered. She simply nodded and said, "I will be right back with your water, sir." As she left, Gregory began to pace the small room. "We need to wrap this up," he said, checking his watch. "We have that other appointment at 3:30. "What other appointment?" Sophia asked, confusion crossing her face. Gregory gave her a hard look. "The lawyer, remember? For the other paperwork." I realized then that they had more plans for me beyond the bank. What other documents did they intend to make me sign? A will leaving everything to them? Papers committing me to some facility where I would be out of their way? Amanda returned with the water, her expression neutral, but something alert in her eyes. I sipped slowly, trying to buy more time. Gregory was now standing directly behind my chair again, his presence looming and threatening. "Mr. Martinez, are you feeling better?" Amanda asked, her voice gentle. I nodded. "Yes, thank you." "Great. Then let us finish up," Sophia said briskly, pushing the papers toward me once more. "Dad, we need you to sign now. We have another appointment to get to." Amanda cleared her throat. "I just need to check one thing with my manager regarding these account changes. Standard procedure for transactions of this size. I will be right back." "Is that really necessary?" Gregory asked, an edge to his voice. "We are in a bit of a hurry." "It will only take a moment," Amanda assured him, already moving toward the door. "Bank policy for any transaction over $50,000. As soon as the door closed behind her, Sophia turned to me with barely contained fury. "Dad, what did you say to her? What are you doing?" "I am protecting myself," I replied, finding courage I did not know I had. I am not signing anything. Gregory moved to block the door, his posture suddenly menacing. Look, old man, you are going to sign these papers one way or another. Do you understand? I need my own lawyer to review these documents, I said firmly. Sophia slammed her hand on the table. We are your family. You do not need a lawyer to deal with your own family. Family does not try to steal from family, I countered, my voice stronger now. Your mother would be heartbroken to see what you are doing. The mention of Mariana struck a nerve. Sophia's face flushed red. Do not bring Mom into this. This is about you being selfish and difficult when we are trying to help you. Help me? By taking my house? My money? How exactly does that help me? Gregory stepped closer, his voice dropping to a threatening whisper. Sign the papers, or I promise you will regret it. We know people who can declare you incompetent. Is that what you want? To be dragged through court and humiliated? The threat hung in the air between us. I realized then the full extent of what I was dealing with. They were not just opportunistic, they were dangerous. The door opened, and Amanda returned. But she was not alone. Behind her stood a tall, distinguished-looking man in his 50s, his silver hair neatly trimmed, his navy suit impeccably tailored. His name tag identified him as Wilson Parker, bank manager. A security guard in uniform hovered just outside the doorway. Good afternoon, mister, Wilson said pleasantly, though his eyes were sharp and assessing as they swept over the room, taking in Gregory's position blocking the door, Sophia's flushed face, and my own tense posture. I am Wilson Parker, the manager here at First National. I understand you are making some significant changes to your accounts today, Mr. Martinez. Gregory stepped forward, extending his hand. Yes, just some family financial planning. Nothing complicated. Wilson shook his hand briefly, then turned his attention fully to me. May I see the documents you are reviewing, sir? Sophia started to gather them, but Wilson gently placed his hand on the papers. I would like Mr. Martinez to show me, if you do not mind. I pushed the stack toward him, relief washing over me. Wilson took the papers and began to examine them methodically, his expression neutral but thoughtful. I see you are transferring the deed to your home, to your daughter and son-in-law, he noted, and setting up power of attorney for both financial and medical decisions, also adding them as joint account holders with full withdrawal privileges on all accounts. These are significant changes, Mr. Martinez. It is just to simplify things, Sophia interjected. Dad is getting older, and we want to make sure everything is taken care of. Wilson nodded. I understand. We see these types of arrangements often. He turned to me. Mr. Martinez, would you mind if I asked you a few questions? We have a new policy regarding transactions of this magnitude for our senior clients. Gregory shifted uncomfortably. Is this really necessary? We have explained everything to him already. I am afraid it is bank policy, Wilson said smoothly. We take our fiduciary responsibility very seriously, especially when it comes to protecting our longtime clients. He pulled up a chair directly across from me, effectively placing himself between me and Sophia and Gregory. Mr. Martinez, do you understand that these documents would give your daughter and son-in-law immediate ownership of your home? Yes, I replied. I just learned that today. Wilson's eyebrow raised slightly. And do you understand that the power of attorney document would give them control over all your financial decisions, including the ability to liquidate investments, close accounts, and make withdrawals without your consent? I did not understand that until just now, I admitted. Wilson nodded, making a note on a small pad he had pulled from his pocket. And the joint account access would mean they could withdraw funds from your accounts without your signature or knowledge. Is that something you want? No, I said firmly. It is not. Dad? Sophia exclaimed. We talked about this. Wilson held up a hand. Miss Palmer, please. I need to hear directly from your father. He turned back to me. Mr. Martinez, bank policy requires that I speak with you privately for a moment about these changes. Would that be acceptable to you? Yes. I nodded gratefully. Gregory stepped forward. That will not be necessary. He has agreed to everything. We just need to finish the paperwork and be on our way. I am afraid I must insist, Wilson said, his tone still pleasant, but with a firmness that brooked no argument. It is a requirement for transactions involving seniors and property transfers of this value. My father does not need to speak to you alone, Sophia insisted, her voice rising. He has me to look after his interests. Wilson smiled thinly. Then you should have no objection to ensuring he fully understands what he is signing. It is for everyone's protection, including yours. Gregory placed his hands on the table, leaning forward menacingly. Look, we have been very patient, but my father-in-law does not need your protection. He knows exactly what he is doing. Wilson did not back down. Instead, he picked up one of the documents and studied it closely. That is interesting, he said. The signature on this preliminary form does not quite match our records for Mr. Mackett. Martinez's signature. A cold silence fell over the room. Bank signatures can vary, Gregory said dismissively. Everyone knows that. Wilson turned to me. Mr. Martinez, did you sign this preliminary authorization form? I looked at the paper he was holding, at the signature at the bottom that was supposed to be mine. I had never seen the document before, let alone signed it. No, I said firmly. That is not my signature. Sophia's face went pale. Dad, stop it. Of course you signed it. You are just confused. Wilson's expression hardened. I think we need to take a step back. He gestured to the security guard who was still waiting outside. Thomas, could you please come in? And Amanda, would you get Miss Daniels from legal to join us? Wait, what is happening? Sophia demanded, standing up abruptly. We are leaving. Wilson stood as well, his tall frame imposing. I am afraid I cannot allow that at the moment, Miss Palmer. We have a serious concern about potential fraud and elder abuse, which we are legally obligated to investigate. This is ridiculous. Gregory exploded. You cannot keep us here. Wilson remained calm. Actually, sir, I can. As the bank manager, I have the authority to detain individuals on bank property if I have reasonable suspicion of fraud being committed. He reached over and quietly locked the consultation room door. Thomas here will ensure everyone stays comfortable until we sort this out. Gregory's face contorted with anger. You have no right. We will sue this bank for everything it is worth. You are certainly welcome to pursue legal action, Wilson replied evenly. In the meantime, I should inform you that I have already contacted Ted Williams, who confirmed he was told by Miss Palmer that Mr. Martinez had canceled their meeting today, which is why he took the day off. Mr. Williams found that suspicious enough to call me directly. Sophia's composure cracked completely. This is all a misunderstanding, she insisted, her voice trembling. We were just trying to help Dad organize his affairs. Wilson ignored her, turning to me instead. Mr. Martinez, would you like us to contact the police regarding the apparent forgery and the attempt to coerce you into signing these documents? Yes, I said, feeling a strange mixture of heartbreak and relief. Yes, please do. Gregory lunged toward the door, but the security guard, Thomas, blocked his path. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to remain seated until the authorities arrive. This is kidnapping, Gregory shouted. You cannot hold us against our will. Sir, please lower your voice, Wilson said calmly. The local police are already on their way. They were quite interested when I mentioned potential elder financial abuse and forgery. Sophia began to cry, large tears streaming down her face. Dad, how could you do this to us? After everything we have done for you. I looked at my daughter, this stranger who shared my blood but apparently none of my values, and felt a profound sadness wash over me. What exactly have you done for me, Sophia? Besides try to steal everything I worked my entire life for? For a moment, she seemed unable to answer. Then her face hardened. We were going to take care of you, She spat. Now you will have nothing and no one. I would rather have nothing and no one than be betrayed by my own child, I replied softly. Wilson placed a hand gently on my shoulder. Mr. Martinez, the police will be here shortly. In the meantime, I have called Ted. He is on his way as well. You will not be alone in this. As we waited in tense silence, I thought about the note I had passed to Amanda. Such a small action, but it had saved me from a terrible fate. Sometimes the smallest acts of courage make all the difference. The police arrived within 20 minutes. 2 officers in crisp uniforms who introduced themselves as Officer Rivera and Officer Bennett. They took in the scene with professional detachment, asking Wilson to explain the situation first. We have reason to believe Mr. Martinez was being coerced into signing documents that would transfer his assets to his daughter and son-in-law, Wilson explained, handing over the papers in question. We also found what appears to be a forged signature on a preliminary authorization form. Officer Rivera nodded, making notes in a small notebook. And who reported this concern? I did, Wilson said, then gestured to Amanda, who stood quietly by the door. And Miss Johnson here received a note from Mr. Martinez, asking for help. The officers turned to me next, their manner respectful but thorough. Mr. Martinez, can you tell us what happened today? I recounted everything, from the surprise visit that morning to the pressure tactics at the bank. I explained how Gregory had physically intimidated me, how Sophia had tried to manipulate me emotionally, and how they had attempted to rush me into signing documents I had not even been allowed to read properly. Throughout my account, Sophia alternated between crying quietly and shooting me venomous looks. Gregory maintained a stony silence, arms crossed defensively across his chest. When I finished, Officer Bennett turned to Sophia and Gregory. We would like to hear your side of the story. Sophia immediately launched into a tearful explanation. My father is getting older and more confused. We were just trying to simplify his finances and make sure everything was protected. He agreed to all of this earlier, but now he is getting paranoid and making these wild accusations. Gregory nodded in agreement. This is a family matter that has been blown completely out of proportion. We were only looking out for his best interests. Officer Rivera's expression remained neutral. And the signature on the preliminary authorization? Can you explain that? Gregory and Sophia exchanged quick glances. Dad must have signed it and forgotten, Sophia said uncertainly. The forgery was the turning point. Officer Bennett stepped closer to Gregory. Sir, did you or your wife sign Mr. Martinez's name to this document? Gregory's composure finally cracked. This is absurd. I want a lawyer. That is certainly your right, Officer Bennett replied calmly. In the meantime, I need to ask you both to come down to the station to answer some questions. The situation escalated quickly after that. Sophia broke down completely, sobbing and pointing at Gregory. It was his idea. All of it. I just went along because we needed the money. Gregory's face twisted with rage. Shut up, Sophia. Do not say another word. But Sophia was beyond stopping now, her words tumbling out between sobs. We are broke. Gregory lost everything gambling online. Our house is mortgaged to the limit. We have maxed out credit cards. The collection agencies call every day. We needed Dad's money, or we would lose everything. I sat there, stunned by the confession. My daughter had been willing to strip me of my home, my savings, my very independence, all to cover her husband's gambling debts. Officer Rivera stepped between them as Gregory moved threateningly towards Sophia. Sir, I am going to ask you to step back and keep your hands where I can see them. Gregory ignored the warning, his focus entirely on his wife. You stupid bitch, he snarled. You have ruined everything. The officers moved quickly then. Officer Bennett restrained Gregory, who struggled briefly before being handcuffed. You are under arrest for attempted elder financial abuse, forgery, and now threatening behavior, the officer informed him. You have the right to remain silent. As they recited the Miranda rights, Sophia collapsed into a chair, her body shaking with sobs. Dad, I am so sorry. I did not know what else to do. He said he would leave me if I did not help him. He said it was the only way to save our marriage. I looked at my daughter, feeling nothing but a profound sadness. How much did you know, Sophia? Did you know he planned to put me in a home after you took my house? Her silence was answer enough. Officer Rivera turned to Sophia. Ma'am, we are going to need you to come to the station as well. You are not under arrest at this time, but we have questions regarding your involvement in these events. As they led Gregory away, still spitting threats and accusations, the consultation room door opened again. Ted Williams, my old friend from the bank, rushed in, his face creased with concern. Rodolfo, he exclaimed. Are you all right? I came as soon as Wilson called me. I nodded wearily. I am okay, Ted. Just shocked and tired. Ted turned to Officer Rivera. I have known Mr. Martinez for over 20 years. He is of completely sound mind and one of our most valued customers. Whatever his daughter and son-in-law were trying to pull here, he was definitely not a willing participant. The officer nodded. We will need a statement from you as well, Mr. Williams. As they led Sophia away, she looked back at me one last time, her eyes red and swollen. I am sorry, Dad, she whispered. I really am. I could not bring myself to respond. The betrayal was too fresh, too deep. This woman, this stranger, was not the little girl I had raised. Somewhere along the way, I had lost my daughter, without even realizing it. Ted came and sat beside me as the officers finished taking statements from Amanda and Wilson. She told me she called on your behalf to cancel our meeting today, he explained. Said you were feeling under the weather. It did not sound right to me. You have never canceled our fishing plans last minute in all the years I have known you. When Wilson called, it all made sense. The bank staff told the officers they would provide all security camera footage and documentation needed for the investigation. Wilson assured me they would fully cooperate to ensure Gregory and Sophia faced consequences for their actions. As the police finished their work, Ted and Wilson helped me to my feet. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving me shaky and exhausted. Let us get you home, Rodolfo, Ted said gently. This has been enough for one day. I nodded, unable to find words for the storm of emotions swirling inside me. Relief that the scheme had been stopped. Heartbreak at my daughter's betrayal. Fear for what would come next. And underneath it all, a profound gratitude for Amanda, Wilson, and Ted, who had believed me and intervened when I needed help most desperately. That evening, sitting alone in my living room, surrounded by photographs of happier times, I finally allowed myself to cry. For the daughter I thought I knew. For the grandchildren I might never see again. For Mariana, who had somehow seen this coming when I had been blind to it. The tears came in waves, each one carrying away a little piece of the father I had once been, leaving behind someone more cautious, more wounded, but also, perhaps, more wise. 6 months have passed since that terrible day at the bank. 6 months of learning to live with betrayal, of rebuilding trust in myself and others, of finding a way forward when the path I thought I would travel had been destroyed. The first few weeks were the hardest. I barely slept. When I did, nightmares jolted me awake. Images of Gregory's threatening face or Sophia's cold eyes haunting my dreams. I jumped at every phone call, every knock at the door. I checked my bank accounts obsessively, afraid somehow they would still find a way to take everything from me. The legal proceedings moved forward. Gregory pled guilty to attempted fraud and elder financial abuse in exchange for a reduced sentence. 3 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 18 months. Sophia received probation and mandatory counseling as part of a plea deal that required her to testify against her husband. I learned the full extent of their plan during the proceedings. After gaining control of my assets, they intended to move me to a low-cost nursing home in another state, one that would have provided minimal care while they liquidated my house and investments. The other appointment that day had been with an attorney who specialized in guardian arrangements that would have effectively silenced any protests I might have made. The betrayal cut deeper with each new revelation, But slowly, painfully, I began to heal. Wilson Parker, the bank manager who had intervened that day, became an unexpected friend. He visited every few weeks, checking in on me, making sure my accounts were secure. He helped me set up additional security measures and fraud alerts. But more than that, he simply listened when I needed to talk, sharing stories of other seniors who had faced similar situations and recovered. I found solace in an unlikely place, a support group for elderly victims of financial abuse. Every Tuesday evening, we gathered in the community room of the local library, men and women in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, all betrayed by those they should have been able to trust. Children, grandchildren, caretakers, neighbors. The faces and details differed, but the pain was the same. There I met Harriet, 84 years old, whose nephew had emptied her bank accounts while serving as her caretaker, and James, 76, whose son had remortgaged his house using forged documents, and Elaine, 68, whose trusted handyman had convinced her to invest her life savings in a non-existent business venture. Sharing my story with them was both painful and cathartic. For the first time, I spoke to people who truly understood the unique anguish of being betrayed by family. They did not offer empty platitudes or suggest I should forgive and forget simply because Sophia was my daughter. They recognized the complex grief I was experiencing, the loss of both trust and relationship. 2 months after the incident, Sophia called me. Her voice was small and hesitant on the phone, so unlike the confident woman who had tried to steal my life savings. She asked if she could come see me. After much thought, I agreed to meet her in a public place, a coffee shop near my home. She looked thinner when I saw her, dark circles under her eyes, her once stylish clothes now plain and a bit worn. She cried as she apologized, telling me she had started therapy, had filed for divorce from Gregory, had begun to understand the damage she had done not just to me, but to herself. I listened, but kept my heart guarded. Trust, once broken, does not mend easily. I told her I needed time, that forgiveness might come eventually, but not yet, that I would always love the daughter she had once been, but that the woman sitting across from me was still a stranger I was not sure I wanted to know. With the help of Frank, my attorney friend, I set up a living trust with clearly defined terms. My house and the bulk of my assets would eventually go to charity, with a small provision for Sophia that she could only access after completing 5 years of financial counseling and ethical decision-making therapy. It was both a consequence and an opportunity, a door left slightly ajar should she genuinely wish to rebuild what she had destroyed. 3 months after the bank incident, I made a decision that surprised even me. I volunteered to speak at a financial literacy workshop for seniors at the community center. Sharing my experience publicly was terrifying, but as I looked out at the room full of my peers, I realized my story could help others avoid the same trap. That first presentation led to others. I became something of a local advocate for senior financial security. Local news even did a small segment on my work. Through this unexpected turn, I found new purpose, new connections, new strength. Last month, I invited Wilson, Amanda, and Ted to dinner at my home. I wanted to properly thank them for saving me that day at the bank. We sat around my dining room table, sharing food and stories, as the evening stretched into night. These people, once strangers or casual acquaintances, had become an important part of my life. A new kind of family formed not by blood but by decency and care. As I look back on the past 6 months, I realize I have learned lessons I never wanted to learn, but needed to nonetheless. I have learned that love does not guarantee loyalty. That age brings vulnerability, but also wisdom. That sometimes the greatest act of self-care is simply saying no. That true family can be found in unexpected places. I still live in my house, still tend Mariana's garden, still keep her cookbooks on the kitchen shelf. But I have made changes too. I have a security system now. I have simplified my financial records and shared them with trusted friends. I have become more discerning about who I allow into my life and what boundaries I maintain. The pain has not disappeared entirely. I doubt it ever will, but it has transformed into something I can carry without being crushed by its weight. Some days are still hard. I still miss the daughter I thought I had. I still mourn the grandchildren I rarely see now. But I have found a way forward, one careful step at a time. If there is one thing I would tell others who find themselves in similar situations, it is this: trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Do not let anyone, not even family, pressure you into decisions about your money, your property, your independence. Ask for help when you need it, even if it is just a note passed to a bank teller. There are good people in the world who will stand beside you if you let them. And to those of you watching this now, I would ask, have you ever had to stand up to someone you love to protect yourself? Have you felt that terrible moment of recognizing betrayal in the eyes of someone you thought you could trust? If you have, know that you are not alone. And if you are struggling with such a situation now, I hope my story gives you the courage to reach for that piece of paper, to write that call for help, to take back your power. Please like and subscribe if this story resonated with you, and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Your comment below might be the words another person needs in their darkest moment. Thank you for listening to an old man's story of heartbreak and healing. Remember, love does not demand your dignity or your security. Sometimes the bravest thing is not signing your name, but writing a small note asking for help.